I think it leads in nicely to our next topical question, which is really about the metrics that sales and marketing leaders should be looking at to know that we are on track.
Yeah, I think the most important to me is sales pipeline size and then understanding what your sales cycle length typically is. When we do pipeline modeling for companies, whatever number you want to hit for a given period of time, I like to see at least a 3 to 4x multiplier on the number of opportunities. So if you need to close $200,000 in sales in Q4, I want to have 600,000 to 800,000 in pipeline, in qualified pipeline that is expected to close in that month, so that when deals fall through, when deals get pushed into Q1, you've got other deals that are going to help you get there. So I think knowing the size of your pipeline and working it against those sort of benchmark metrics, and then understanding your sales cycle length to know that that you still maybe or maybe don't have time to go and get add new opportunities to the pipeline. Those are a couple things that are worth knowing now to make sure you're on track for Q4.
I was just going to say that I think what you want to do is look at quota attainment. If you're a sales rep and if you're a manager, you want to look across your entire team to understand what the quota attainment is to date, and then what the quota target is, and then identify that gap. And as Matt said, you need multiples of that gap in your pipeline in order to be able to hit your target. But one of the things you can do to figure out what is the right multiple is figure out how many deals do you have that are forecasted right now, and then multiply those by your typical win rate. And that'll give you a feel for what is likely to happen so that you can identify any risks that might be there, and then figure out together with marketing how you can mitigate those risks.
I'd love to see more marketers, to Nancy's point, focus on the bottom of the pipeline, focus on helping their sales teams increase velocity and conversion rate of those deals that are already in the pipe. It's certainly something you can do at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter. But I think you want to be realistic and maybe a little bit conservative, and not assume that you're going to see that increased velocity. But just give yourself a chance, give yourself a little more padding to make sure you hit your number.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add one more thing in terms of the metrics, and that is that it would be good for marketing to take a look at the dollars and the deals that are in the pipeline and to map them to their ideal customer profile so that you can see what's the dollar value that maps to your ideal customer profile. Because if the ones that don't map makes up the majority of your pipeline, you might be in trouble.
Fair enough. I think that's a great tip. How would you go about doing that in practice, Nancy? Mapping your opportunities in the pipeline to your ideal customer profile.
Some of the basic things are just industry. You should what makes up your ideal customer profile. I mean, Matt can talk to this probably better than I can, but a lot of times it has to do with the industry or the job title, or it could be it could be company size. There's all kinds of things besides demographics as well, but those would probably be the easiest ones to map to the actual opportunities. It gets harder if you're trying to map like who is more likely to have a compelling event or some trigger event or more sophisticated types of metrics. Those are more difficult to map.
Yeah, I love this pointer because presumably the deals that are in your ideal customer profile where you're working with the right personas in the right companies, those are going to have the highest close rate, and you can not necessarily bank on those, but your close rate is probably much higher than stuff that's outside. So I think that's a great tip. One last question back to both of you. Are there good systems or places or tools that you're aware of that help both sales and marketing see some of these metrics? We talked about pipeline size, close win rate, coverage ratio, meaning amount of pipeline to what we need to close, quota attainment to date. Where's an easy place for folks who may not be sales ops or marketing ops folks to go to see this information?
Well, if I could, I'll put in a plug. I won't worry about it being shameless here. I'll put in a plug because we have a landscape we put together that categorizes technology. So if you're looking for things that help you identify risks in the forecast, then you can find those on the landscape. Those would be things like a VSO. If you're looking to find out whether or not you have activity metrics that are aligning to your forecast, a LONO is a great tool for that. And then the other thing I would say is to use some account planning and deal planning solutions, right? Because those will tell you if you're missing any steps and what has to still be done in order to bring a deal in. And so those solutions are things like Membrane and outside in account plan.
Matt, anything you wanted to chip in on where these metrics are best revealed?
Yeah, I mean, Nancy's right. There's a ton of really great tools that can go deep on a lot of categories. I think for most companies, the basics of what we're talking about can be seen in your CRM, right? I mean, to be able to see, again, and it's not about whether sales is sophisticated enough to do it. It's in most cases, do you have a disciplined enough approach in managing your sales process where you're tracking not just that an opportunity exists, but when it's going to close. Most CRM systems, they'll have, you can see closed won deals, you can see closed lost deals, you can see historically what your conversion rate is. There's aging tracked in most CRMs, so you can see how long it's actually been an opportunity and how long the closed ones take, how long the closed lost take, how long they stay at different stages, so you can establish that baseline. So yeah, there's a bunch of tools, and there's a ton of really, really great reporting tools that can give you more advanced analytics. But I think for most companies, they're not using the analytics and the insights that are baked into the core CRM enough. That's certainly a great place to start.